So please, as always, let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in today's vlog, or if there's a vlog. Hi everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with my October TBR. So it is time for October, the pinnacle of spooky season. I am so excited. I have lots of books I would like to get to. I've got a couple of reading vlogs. I'm planning on doing like themed reading vlogs that I'm planning on doing in the month of October. So let's hope that the basket is nice to me. I will say that I've kind of made a decision. I thought about it at the beginning. I'm gonna put this basket down. I thought about it at the beginning of September before like I really even did anything. And I think for the rest of the year, I'm gonna not do punishments. Just because like I'm reading a good amount, and like I know it sounds like I'm not reading that much, and then like my wrap-ups are still relatively larger, but it's just taking a lot of effort to get through the books, and so having that extra like, oh, I could get a punishment pick is more stressful than it used to be. So at least until the end of the year, we're going to do no punishments, and then we'll revisit in January and see kind of how I'm feeling. Maybe we'll start the new year differently. I don't really know. But that's the plan. So I will go through last month's still. I will still continue to go through like what I did and didn't get to for last month. But there is, I didn't get through as many as I wanted to. But I'll just go through last month's really quick, and then we can get to October's picks. So if you remember last month, we ended up with 11 picks because I had quite a few punishments. I was trying to get back to the usual and it did not go well. But the first prompt was a book that was released in 2021. So we went with Anatomy by Dana Schwartz. Then we had pick a book that everyone's talking about or like a hyped book. And so I did A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Then we had to read a middle grade, and so I picked the very last book, the 5th book in the Arusha series, and that is Arusha and the Nectar of Immortality, and that is by Roshani Chokshi. That word is so hard. Nectar of Immortality. Then we had to read a YA book, so I picked Being Mary Bennett by J.C. Peterson. Then there was a book featuring books, and so I did The Woman in the Library by Solari Gentile. Then I was read a book out of your comfort zone, so I did The Ghosts We Keep by Mason Deaver. Then I did read a book with a light cover, so we did Playing with Myself by Randy Rainbow. Then it was just read a Philippa Gregory book, and the next one was The Queen's Fool. Then it was read a cover by, and I picked Heart of the Raven Prince, the second book in the Entangled with Fae series by Tessonia Odette. Then it was read a book that you've given this author previously 5 stars, and so I did My Imaginary Mary by the Lady Janies, which are Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. And then finally, read a book with a tagline, and I did These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. So the stack of books I haven't read is not small. So it's this one. It works so well. So in my defense, I'm in the middle of these Hollow Vows. I'm probably going to finish this one, maybe not by the end of the month, but by the 1st of October for sure. And then The Woman in the Library. I am actually doing a buddy read of this with my friend Brooke, who reads a lot of thrillers and I don't. So we're going to be buddy reading this. I'm very excited. But we've pushed it off to the very first week of October. So we're doing that one as well, which leaves these 4, which I didn't even touch. Like I wasn't getting to them. So this is part of the reason why I decided not to do punishments in the future, but I already kind of had that floating in the back of my head. So, we're just gonna forget about those and pretend I didn't even have to deal with them. And yay, I've done everything right. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick the very first pick for October now. Pick number 1. Alright. Oh, a husband pick. Alright, so the very first pick was husband pick, which is interesting for me because like I have a set TBR for the fall that I'm really trying to get to, and also like we're doing fun stuff TBR wise with him in both November and December. Stay tuned. But we're gonna see what he has to pick. So let me go grab him and reset up, and we'll see what he's got for me. I didn't start yet. Who he is. I found him. He is now here.
I was apparently missing.
He's not missing. He was just not in here. But I have him. He's now here in the room for husband pick. He can choose anything he wants.
And I definitely didn't already tell her what this was
Yeah,
yesterday.
I
So this
definitely
is
don't know.
definitely a surprise. So this
So
is like
a surprise.
covered up and not something that she handed me when I walked in the room.
You picked it though.
I did pick it. You're
Okay,
right.
thank you.
I picked it like 2 years ago when I bought it for you. She's going to keep up her role of... She's on a roll. She's read books that I've bought her.
I did.
So she's going to read another one.
I did. Which is?
It's called The Double Vice by a dude with a real cool first name. The last name needs some work, but Holcomb's not.
Holcomb.
But Chris is a pretty solid first name.
Do you know what it's about, or do you need me to tell you what it's about? I've read it a few times, the back at least, so at least...
Okay, you can tell. Look, it's been 2 years since I bought this for her.
I get it. It takes place in the Roaring 20s. It follows a guy named Dash Parker, who is a gay speakeasy owner in New York City, and it's the height of Prohibition, and someone dies in his... Like, one of his club patrons gets murdered, and so he and his friends trying to figure out what is going on, because I think people think it's him. So it sounds like they're going to go on an adventure and figure out who did it. But it's the 20s, and I like the 20s. 20s are fun. I read a book last month set in the Roaring 20s, and I'm kind of in that zone. Kind of feeling it. That's it. That's your pick. Thank you.
I'll be back next month for more.
You will. I already told them you're coming back. Just not why.
Back by popular demand.
So, also true. I mean, everyone did enjoy you when you were here before. Pick number 2. Alrighty. Ooh, for a video. Perfect. So the next one was to pick a book for a specific video, which is great because, like I mentioned, I've got a couple of themed vlogs that I want to do this month. So I picked a book for one of them. I won't tell you what they are, which you'll know in a couple of weeks. And that is The Dragon's Bride, and this is by Katie Robert. So this one is one that I'm hesitantly optimistic. I love Katie Robert. I've read a bunch of stuff by this author. You guys know that I'm a big fan of hers. But this is a monster romance, and I haven't really ever, I consider alien romances to be monster romances as well. So I've read like one of those, but I've never read like a monster romance. And this is obviously a monster romance. It's part of her Deal with a Demon series, which she's got, I think, a couple at this point. It's relatively small, which is good because I don't really know what I'm getting into. I really have no context for this. It's just really short, and I have plans for it. So that's my video book, but it follows this girl named Briar Rose who was unfortunately in a very unhappy marriage, and so it says that she makes a deal with a demon, that freedom from her marriage in return for 7 years of service. So she's like, great, let's do this. And then she expects to do like backbreaking work, like maid service kind of work, but she ends up being put on the auction block and gets sold to the highest bidder, which is this guy called Soul, and he's a dragon. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't know what to expect, but I love Katie Robert, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I'm grateful it's short because, like, I want to ease my way into this. Like, I feel like this is going to be a little much for me, so we'll see. Number 3. All right, here we go. Ooh, book released this year, so 2022. The next one is to read a book that was released in 2022. So I am sticking in an e-arc I've got because it's coming out in the beginning of October. So we'll see if I get to it. And that's called The Belle of Belgrave Square, and this is by Mimi Matthews. Sorry, I looked that way because I have her first book. It's the second in her series, and that's the Bells of London series. The first one was The Siren of Sussex, which I read a couple of months ago. I believe it was part of my cover by vlog that I did, and I really enjoyed that one. And so this one is just a companion from that one. I don't know anything about it, honestly. Like, I don't even remember who it follows. Like, I know it follows one of her friends. It's kind of like one of those companion novels where it's got like a group of friends, and each book in this series will follow a different friend. So I know there's going to be 3 or 4 books in this series. I'm not entirely sure how many, but this is going to be the second one, and it comes out, like I said, at the beginning of October. So I was lucky enough to get the arc of this. I was very excited because this is like a random anticipated release of mine. I didn't realize it was coming out until I read that one, and I was very excited about it. So I'm gonna read this one. I've got the e-arc of it, like I said, so this is going to be my book, even though like it technically hasn't come out yet, but it will come out in 2022. So I got an arc on, and I'm excited. Number 4. Is read a book with a dark cover. Oh my gosh, this is perfect. So in reverse to last month, we got read a book with a dark cover. So for this one, I'm going to go with Darling Girl, and this is by Liz Mikulski. This is a book of the month book that I picked up, and clearly very dark cover. It was on my fall TBR. I'm very excited about it. It's a Peter Pan retelling of sorts, and I am very interested in it. So it follows our main character, Holly Darling, who is the granddaughter of Wendy, and Wendy is like convinced that Peter Pan is like the best person ever. Oh my gosh, everyone should love him. But apparently Wendy has like a different context to him, and like he is not actually a good person. But she's got a lot going on. She's running a successful skincare company. She's got her son Jack, who is happy and healthy, but her daughter Eden has been in a coma for nearly a decade. And then I think she's got even like another kid somewhere. I don't know. It gets weird, but it's like a darker retelling. I mean, it's not really a retelling of Peter Pan, but it's like a reimagining of like that world and those characters, or the descendants of it, let's say. So this is what I'm going to go with. It felt like a good spooky thriller-ish kind of book to read during October. That was a very aggressive head thing. Number 5. Here we go. All right, read a book that starts with one of your initials. The next one is to read a book with one of my initials on it. So I chose to choose from either of them, my first, middle, maiden, and married name. So I'm going with my maiden name, which is Hubbard. So I'm going to go with this one, and that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. So H right there, which is great because like I wanted to get to this book specifically in October, because October to me is the perfect month for all of the witchy books. Like I love a good thriller and a good mystery, but like if I want a witchy book, end of September, October is like the best time. So I am so excited about this one. I've talked about this a bunch on this channel, but this is a world that basically has this thing called Her Majesty's Royal Coven, or the HMRC, which is actually the actual tax company bureaucracy in actual London. Like it's based on real things, but it was created by Queen Elizabeth I as a covert government department in charge of like magic and stuff. And so it follows 4 women who, like, at the beginning, I think they're really young, and they like are like pledging themselves to be part of this coven, and then it turns out many years later that only one of them technically is. And then some weird stuff happens. A warlock shows up. One of the 4 girls has actually gone to like, not that sounds very Star Wars, to the dark side, but like to the darker magic, and it seems like things are going to get interesting but witchy. And it's based in like, I mean, it's set contemporarily, but it's like it's based on something historical, which makes me very excited. So I got this one in, and I'm so excited about it. Number 6. All right, read a book by a favorite author. The next one is to read a book by one of your favorite authors, which I might be like stretching this a little bit just because like I've read a bunch by this author, but I'm not sure if I would consider her like a favorite, but it's fall and I want to fit it in. So I'm going to go with Agatha Christie, and that is the first book in the Miss Marple series, which is Murder at the Vicarage. I'm never going to be able to pronounce this word right, but it follows Miss Marple, and she's kind of like a busybody, and then someone ends up dead in like the vicar's house, or the vicar's like office or something. Like something happens, and so she starts investigating and saying kind of like, well, what is going on with that? I'm very excited. I had to get a Agatha Christie book in this fall. It only felt right because I've really only read books by her in the fall, and this is the only book I have that's part of the Miss Marple series, so I really want to see if she's going to be the like this character is going to be a one for me, because like I've read a bunch of her Perot novels, and I've read like one book that's not like one of her detectives, so I'm interested to see about this one. I don't know, it just gives me good vibes. I feel like it's going to be really interesting, so I wanted to get this one in. And I would consider Agatha Christie like one of my favorite, I would say she's my favorite mystery author. I don't have very many, so we'll say that. That's how I'm gonna justify it. Number 7. Oh, this is folded very weirdly. Okay. Read the longest book on your TBR. Oh no, I can't do that. The next one is the longest book on your TBR. And I'm kind of stretching this one just a little bit because the longest book on my TBR is Priory of the Orange Tree, and I bought that specifically for a video that I haven't done yet, but like I've got an idea in my head, so I have that for a very specific reason. So I didn't want to read that. So I decided to like possibly cheat just a little bit and say the biggest book from my fall TBR, and that is without a doubt A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This is like well over 500 pages. I feel like we're in the 600s. No, not quite yet. 580, let's say. But this is like a pretty good chunk of a book. So this is by far the biggest book on my fall TBR. Most of those books are within like the 300 pages. So I am going to use this one. I like cheated a little bit. I mean, like it's still on my physical TBR, but like I shortened the TBR. But this one follows two main characters. So we've got Diana, who is in Oxford. She's studying at Oxford, and she is a witch, but she's like kind of not resented, but like decided to not be a witch. And then she finds this book in this library and like opens it and like opens up, I don't even know what it is, but like things start happening. She runs into a vampire who I think becomes the other main character. I can't remember his name. Matthew. He's trying to figure out what's going on, but like basically like it sets off a chain reaction by her opening this book and like sets something off, and everyone is now either after her or the book or both. I don't know. It sounds witchy. It sounds like Dark Academia as well. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it's giving me Dark Academia vibes. So we'll see if I like Dark Academia a little bit here. But yeah, witchy. Need I say more? And number 8 is this one, which is to read a thriller or mystery. Oh my god, this TBR is so nice right now. And the last book on this TBR is to read a mystery or a thriller, which seriously, like, could this TBR be any nicer to me? Because I was able to fit in like almost everything I wanted to. So for this one, I'm going to pick The Lies I Tell, and this is by Julie Clark. This is about a con artist and like someone that she conned. So we follow our main character, Kat Roberts, who has been waiting 10 years because she got conned by this woman named Meg Williams. And so she comes back into town, and like Kat is determined that like she's going to expose her once and for all. But it sounds like as they grow closer, like things that Kat thought is kind of crumbling around her. So this is a domestic thriller. Never really read a domestic thriller before, so I'm very interested to see how I like this one. I got it from Book of the Month, so I'm reading a lot of my Book of the Month thrillers at this time of year. So we'll see how I feel about it, but it looks really interesting, and I don't really know. I'm excited. We'll see what happens. And that's it. That is a look at the books that I'm planning on reading in October. I do have a few more, like my nonfiction middle grade and things like that. A couple other books that are for secret TBRs and themed TBR vlogs that I'm doing. But otherwise, that's what my TBR is going to look like. So I feel very confident about this one because a lot of the books I really wanted to get to, I was able to fit on here. And like actually got a good chunk into my fall TBR done, which is great because that's what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling all of those books right about now. So I'm actually very excited about October. I'm like hesitantly optimistic that I'm going to do well on this TBR, and we'll see. Stay tuned for what happens this month. Like I said, I've got some TBR vlogs coming your way. I'm very excited about them. They're kind of like for the October fall Halloween vibe. So stay tuned for those. I hope you enjoy them. I'm very excited about them. And that's really what I've got for you guys today. So as always, please let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in today's video. I would love to know your thoughts on them. And or if there is something that you are reading in October that you'd love to share, I would love to know that as well. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there as well as other fun bookish links, so remember to check all of that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!